So I haven't done one of these long form videos in quite a while. It's been a couple years now actually. But I got a really cool AKM I wanted to show off. Thought it'd be something interesting for you all to see. And even if you don't like it as much, I wanted to share about it regardless. So Arms of America is one of my favorite websites to pay attention to because they get really cool stuff quite often. I also have a soft spot because that's where my mini jack came from. And they recently sent 60 Romanian Kujier PM63 parts kits off to Rifle Dynamics to have them built. So far there's only been about 20 of them-ish that have come back around to be sold, and I just could not pass up an opportunity to pick one up. Rifle Dynamics makes ultra bougie, very nice AKs, but they're also at an ultra bougie cost. So I don't know if I'd ever be able to pick one of those up, but this came in very affordable, and I just could not say no to it. So the Rifle Dynamics build craft history around Jim Fuller is, very renowned, and I thought it'd be cool to get some of that original legacy from one of their builds. Even though Jim Fuller's not there anymore, I feel like a lot of what he does and his legacy and how he used to put things together is going to live on with whoever the staff are that are still putting these together. So this is a original 1960s part kit from the Romanian PM63, and in the early 1960s they were ready to switch from the AK-47 milled platform over to the new AKM stamped guns that the Soviet Union was pumping out. So they got the tooling, they got the permission that they needed to start making these themselves. And in 1963, they released the first batch of them to the Romanian military. And this is a 1964 kit. So second year production, really cool piece of history. Something that's a little bit different is that the early 60s models used palm swell handguards and also hardwood grips. When you get to I think it's the mid to late 1960s, they switched over to using Romanian dongs, which I've got one of those over here, just for a little comparison there. So, nice Romanian dong. So as well with this kit is that it's not all parts matching, but the safety selector, the bolt, the carrier, and the front trunnion here are also parts matching. But I'm not sure if like the gas tube and the front sight are from the same kit, or the handguards and furniture. Not sure, but they are from original Romanian md.63 kits. It could be, 70s or 80s. But the wear and finish on this just looks incredible. The bluing is mostly gone on a lot of this, so it just has this almost like semi-chrome look. Just really cool battlefield pickup style. So let's take a closer look at a lot of this stuff. I guess first things first here, I'll show you. I'm running a 20 round FEG tanker mag in here just at the moment, but we are clear. Gun is clear. Go put that together. So original hardwood stock with the trapdoor. For the cleaning kit, there's no cleaning kit in there, but I could buy one. I could put one in there if I wanted to, or some snacks. But original hardwood grip. Beautiful finish. I can just say that over and over again. Beautiful finish. Hardwood grips with a little bit of trench art. You gotta get that flare there, a little V. Does come with a cleaning rod, and it is a muzzle nut on this FB Radom cold hammer forged chrome lined barrel. So I checked last night just to see, but this is not quite concentric enough to run a suppressor on, at least my suppressor on. I run a reared-in system. I don't have an overboard suppressor. I have a regular 30 cal suppressor, which I run on my mini jack, and I face mounted a muzzle device on there, and it just was not good enough. It looked like it was gonna have a baffle strike. But I thought this was still a cool thing I wanted to talk about real briefly. This is my mini jack. Got a little bit of the Zenico treatment. So really excellent firearm as well. But the way that I run my reared-in on here is reared-in muzzle devices, when they're threaded 14 by 1, then you put your right hand threaded suppressor on there, the two torques want to fight each other. So I would put 1 or 2 mags worth through this gun, and the muzzle device would come loose and would start spinning with the suppressor on it off the gun. And I'm like, well, that's not what's supposed to happen. And the harder I would torque the suppressor on, the more it was trying to turn the muzzle device off of the gun. So this was my solution, and it actually worked extremely well. I was impressed. I saw some dude on Reddit try this, and I was like, okay, I can do that. So I just filed down one piece of this after I figured out where the final torquing position was going to be. And I just filed it so the detent has somewhere to, align with. So no matter what force is produced on the muzzle device, it still will not turn off because the detent holds in place just like a regular 14x1 muzzle device. Thought it'd be fun to show that off if anybody's looking for some solutions. It's worked really great for me. I haven't had any issues since of having the muzzle device trying to torque itself off. But even though it's not concentric, I was kind of looking at this gun more as being like maybe a competition gun. Maybe I'll put a really big ass brake on the front and just really run it and just see what we can do with it. I think it'd be cool. The mini jack, I've taken it out to 300 yards, but man, the extra barrel length and just that little bit more velocity, I think it's just gonna give it enough to really hammer at 300 yards and beyond. So this thing does ship with a LBE G3 trigger group. And it's a pretty good trigger out the box. It's about 3 pounds on my trigger gauge, between 3 and 4, but closer to 3. And I run an ALG in my mini jack, but for this one, I'm gonna try and run this Timney drop-in. So I'll see if I can get to focus here. These have not been super popular on the market. Haven't seen a lot of people talking about them, but it's a super light trigger with a really, really small travel distance. So could be fun. So flip around here, but it just looks really cool. They had options you could have paid to get these refinished to match with the new receivers. But dude, the history in the original parts is just so cool. So there you go, 1964 with the cool Cougar triangle and arrow. So if I flip this under here, you get a little bit. There you go, the Rifle Dynamics symbol there. And the buttstock. It looks like it just says like cat. At least that's what I'm thinking. So I want to disassemble it a little bit just to show you some of the ways that they have lubricated it. I've heard Jim Fuller talk about it, but it was cool to see it firsthand. So let me do that over here and I'll bring it back. So here we go, we have our bolt and carrier. So I already ran through 60 rounds through it, so it's been smeared a little bit from factory. But you can see white lithium grease is big time used on this. So super cool. They put it where it's gonna interface with the rails on the side. But even the bolt channel, like the channel where it's gonna go through, they even put a blob of it down there in the middle. So this thing cycled out of the box extremely smoothly. Like no joke. Of course, white lithium lasts a long time, but it's also extremely like lubricious. I've heard Jim Fuller say this before too, but you put like a pea-sized amount right on the hammer. So that way the carrier will slide right over top of that. So I've already worn a little bit. I put 60 rounds down the pipe on this thing just to make sure it was functioning, and of course it did. This thing is also ultra straight. I'm not gonna be able to get it in view for you, but it is a new build by somebody who is very attentive to detail. But this is my new AKM platform. I typically try to pick up things that kind of fit a role that I don't have. I'm definitely a shooter, I'm not a collector. So I try not to pick up guns just to leave in a safe that I don't ever touch. But this was just too cool to not pick up one of these. I think this will totally fill in my AKM desires and needs, and I won't need to pick up another one of these. This may come to bite me, watch a couple years from now and be like, look, I have another 4 of these. But for now, this thing is so, so cool. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. If you have any questions about it, feel free to drop some down in the comments and I'll reply to it as I can. I'm gonna trick this out. Maybe I'll get a really nice break for it. And I think I'm gonna run irons for a little while. Just want to get the tried and true experience. So we'll see how this goes. Thank you all for watching.